east to continue its vital work in the occupied Palestinian territories, now including East Jerusalem, as authorized by the General Assembly.
The images of our children burning in tents, with no food in their bellies, and no hopes and no horizon for the future, and after having endured pain and loss for more than a year, should haunt the conscience of the world and prompt action to end this nightmare and stop it from happening. Never again for our people or any other people. Never again. We plead with all nations gathered here, extinguish the fire devouring our children. Is that too much to ask?
Meanwhile, Indonesia delivered a firm statement during the UN General Assembly Emergency Special Session, which took place on December the 4th, focusing on Israel's illegal actions in Palestinian territories.
Foreign Affairs Vice Minister Armanat Nasir said that double standards in Gaza are undermining the multilateral system.
During the session, the Indonesian Foreign Affairs Vice Minister also addressed the failure of the United Nations Security Council to effectively take measures regarding the Gaza situation. 8 proposed resolutions aimed at ending violence were blocked by vetoes. However, none out of the 4 adopted resolutions have been effectively implemented.
Furthermore, rulings by the International Court of Justice and the International Criminal Court, which called for accountability and the cessation of human rights abuses, have been ignored. The Vice Minister also said that these double standards allow Israel to continue committing violence against Palestinians and undermining international law.
This emergency session was conducted after a permanent member of the UN Security Council vetoed a resolution calling for a ceasefire in Gaza on November the 20th. The session was done with the aim of passing 2 crucial resolutions for immediate ceasefire in Gaza and political support for UNRWA.
And during the statement, Indonesia also criticized Israel for obstructing the delivery of aid to Gaza and attempting to discredit UNRWA. Vice Minister Nasir also expressed condolences for the loss of 333 humanitarian workers, including 249 staff of UNRWA. He further acknowledged their critical roles as lifelines for over 2 million Palestinian refugees.
The Vice Minister highlighted the devastating toll of the Israeli aggression in Gaza since October 7 last year, which has claimed 44,532 lives, mostly women and children. He emphasized that this death toll surpasses the population of 7 UN member states. He reiterated Indonesia's belief that the 2-state solution remains the only path to sustainable peace between Palestine and Israel.
Minister for Foreign Affairs of Indonesia.
All states with conscience should therefore give unconditional recognition to the state of Palestine. We must also work for the immediate convening of the International Peace Conference as mandated by Resolution ES 10/24. This way, we begin the process to give life to realizing the 2-state solution. Mr. President, amidst the systematic failure and paralysis of the Security Council, the General Assembly must continue to give weight to its role as the voice of global conscience. In this regard, we urge all member states to support and vote in favor for the draft resolution presented under the special session. It is time to raise above politics and be on the side of justice and humanity. I thank you, Mr. President.
We're now going to leave the situation in the Middle East momentarily and take you to South Korea, where South Korean civic groups and main opposition party supporters recently gathered at the parliament in Seoul on Thursday to condemn President Yoon Suk-yeol and his recent declaration of martial law.
They demanded the president to step down and urged the ruling party to vote in favor of impeachment, which will be up for a vote on Saturday evening.
The motion to impeach President Yoon Suk-yeol went to the South Korean parliament on Thursday morning. South Korean law dictates that an impeachment motion must be voted on between 24 to 72 hours after it went to the plenary session.
Meanwhile, the South Korean Defense Ministry apologized for the 6 hours of martial law, which caused plenty of concern among the general public. Defense Ministry spokesperson Jun-Hak said in Seoul on Thursday that the military will remain focused on its primary mission of protecting national security and the public.
비상계엄과 관련해서 국민들께 심려를 끼친 데 대해서 송구스럽게 생각을 합니다. 그리고 우리 군은 확고한 군사 대비 태세를 유지하면서 국가 방위와 국민의 안전을 뒷받침할 수 있도록 본연의 임무에 더욱 매진하겠습니다.
So I think the situation took us all by surprise, not just South Koreans. But if we rewind a bit and zoom out at the larger context, we know that South Korea has been in a political stalemate for months now, while the country's liberal opposition parties, they won the parliamentary majority in April. Now, the election was actually widely seen as a referendum of President Yoon Suk-yeol himself, whose popularity has dropped a lot due to the number of controversies since he took office in 2022. I believe it was hovering somewhere around 20% over this past year alone. So Yoon, who is a conservative, has clashed with the opposition on many of his policies that require legislation, which prevented him from moving forward on his campaign promises to cut taxes and ease business regulations. He also grew increasingly frustrated with the opposition's effort to impeach government figures, some of whom he appointed, which include prosecutors, who opposition lawmakers argue failed to indict Yoon's wife, the First Lady. She had been embroiled in scandal and accusations of stock manipulation, which the presidential office has repeatedly denied. So, what's next for South Korea? Yoon's future still remains uncertain as protesters and opposition figures still demand his removal, while a few allies have even left within his own party. South Korea's national police are investigating Yoon along with other top officials for alleged treason, while Lee's Democratic Party said that it had filed charges against Yoon and other officials for insurrection. Opposition parties have also introduced impeachment measures in parliament, which Karina mentioned, I believe, could vote on this issue as early as Saturday. Now, if this reaches the 2/3 of majority to pass, it will then go on to one of the country's highest courts for further approval. Meanwhile, Yoon's ruling People Power Party is working to block the move, with party leader Han Dong-hoon saying that an impeachment would cause chaos among the public, though he did criticize the president's unconstitutional martial law. Instead, he is demanding that Yoon leave the party entirely. Now, we do know a number of government figures have resigned, including the former defense minister, Yoon's chief of staff, while senior figures within the military have either distanced themselves from this martial law decree or indicated that they themselves were caught unaware. South Korea's largest umbrella union also said on Wednesday its members would go on indefinite general strike until Yoon resigns. Now, obviously, this is affecting not just South Korean citizens, but people of other nationals living there, including Indonesia.
Absolutely, Paul, yes. And that being said, the Indonesian Foreign Affairs Ministry have recently said that the situation in South Korea is indeed normal and there is no need to evacuate Indonesian nationals from the country.
Nonetheless, Director for the Protection of Indonesian Nationals, Judah Nugraha, encouraged Indonesians in South Korea to reach out to the Indonesian embassy should they encounter any issue, including ones regarding their flights.
Situasi terpantau aman, ya, normal, terkendali. Masyarakat juga sudah kembali menjalankan aktivitas secara normal. Layanan KBRI juga sudah berjalan secara normal. Kami belum mendapatkan informasi terkait gangguan penerbangan yang ada. Namun jika ada warga negara kita yang mengalami kendala penerbangan, silakan segera menghubungi hotline KBRI Seoul. Saat ini KBRI Seoul telah memiliki rencana kontingensi sesuai dengan SOP yang ada, dan kita melihat tidak ada urgensi saat ini untuk melakukan evakuasi.
Moving on, as mentioned at the top of the hour, State-Owned Enterprises Minister Eric Thohir recently met with delegates from the U.S. private sector following another meeting between the Indonesian and American heads of state.
Now, they discussed efforts to boost bilateral trade partnership and for Boeing to increase aircraft supply in Indonesia.
State-owned Enterprises Minister Erick Thohir met with delegates from the U.S. private sector in Indonesia on December 5th. This was done following President Prabowo Subianto's visit to the U.S. The meeting was done to discuss bilateral trade partnerships in various sectors, including healthcare, education, critical mineral, oil and gas, defense, as well as aircraft trade. The minister also encouraged American aircraft manufacturers to increase cooperation with Indonesia.
The meeting between state-owned enterprises with U.S. Asian chambers actually is a follow-up to the meeting between Mr. President Prabowo and President of the United States, that how we can sketch out our trade partnerships. At this moment, our trade partnership with U.S. is around 34.5 billion. That we believe this trade can be higher, up to 50 billion in the futures. But again, it's very important to make sure also create confidence to U.S. that their investment protect in Indonesia. We are transparent. We also implement professionalisms. At the same time, we need to respect the trade balance. This is why we propose to them as a Minister of State Enterprise who handling Garuda, Citylink, and Pelita. Maybe there is an opportunity to balance the trade by buying more Boeing from them.
The United States is one of Indonesia's main trading partners. According to data from the Trade Ministry, the U.S. is Indonesia's second largest export destination, with a trade surplus of $1.52 billion in October 2024. Modi Kalisha and Sri Rizky for Today.
And in other news, Reok Ponorogo has officially been classified as in need of urgent safeguarding under the UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage List.
Reok Ponorogo has officially become the 15th Indonesian cultural heritage to be included in the UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage List.
Reok Ponorogo has officially been designated as, quote, in need of urgent safeguarding under the UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage List. The announcement was made during the 19th Intergovernmental Committee session for the safeguarding of intangible cultural heritage in Asunción, Paraguay on December the 3rd.
Reok Ponorogo is a traditional dance from Ponorogo Regency in East Java. It is identified by dadak merak, a mask resembling a tiger's head, which is decorated with peacock feathers.
And it is often performed at various cultural events, major celebrations, and traditional rituals to symbolize the courage, solidarity, and dedication of the Ponorogo community over centuries.
Indonesian Foreign Affairs Ministry spokesperson Rorliansyah Sumirat said that Reok Ponorogo is officially the 15th Indonesian cultural heritage to be included in the UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage List.
Escénico de Reok Ponorogo. Reok Ponorogo oleh UNESCO secara resmi telah dimasukkan ke dalam daftar warisan budaya tak benda. Sudah ada meeting di Paraguay yang menyatakan bahwa Reok Ponorogo merupakan masuk ke kategori in needs of urgent safeguarding. Dan ini lagi-lagi menunjukkan bahwa kita Indonesia selalu memanfaatkan berbagai macam forum, terutama forum PBB dan berbagai macam badan subsidiarnya untuk terus mengangkat hal-hal yang menjadi prioritas kita. Ini adalah yang ke-15. Reok Ponorogo itu masuk menjadi warisan budaya tak bendanya dunia di bawah kerangka UNESCO.
All right, we're just getting started with our updates from Indonesia. We have more coming your way after our next short break, so stay with us here on the C Morning Show, only on C Today.
I'm starting my journey old style on this beautiful traditional Felucca sailboat. There's no wind to sail this time, Abea. Hello.
I was young, I had an intense desire to discover the world around me. This is my first time driving in South America. That hasn't changed, just the level of adventure. Now, every journey has a purpose. And each time I venture out to explore new destinations around the globe. Yeah. There's a biggie under there. I am following my travel quest.
I'm Eric Hansen. When I see a trail, I see more than a path from point A to point B. A good trail is the ultimate opportunity to explore, to discover new landscapes, and to challenge myself. When I don't have a pack on my back, I'm thinking about my next big adventure, because my mission is simple. My mission is to discover the world's most epic trails.
Isu-isu sustainability ini dalam konteks bagaimana kita peduli kepada bumi,
bagaimana mengelola yang terbuang dapat menjadi manfaat.
Salah satu upaya saya untuk mencintai alam dan merawat bumi. Kita membuat si tanaman nyaman seperti habitat aslinya.
Kita sangat percaya bahwa ini harus menjadi awareness dan harus dilakukan oleh setiap orang.
Solar ini dari Indonesia, khususnya dari Sulawesi Selatan dan Tenggara, terus dari Maluku sampai ke Raja Ampat, Papua.
Untuk mama sendiri atau Polypterus ini dia itu cukup hardy sih. Jadi untuk range airnya sendiri bisa toleransi agak jauh.